Okay, so this is me practicing talking in front of the camera, and this is something for my walk and talk videos when I'm not walking. So I just want to practice talking in front of the camera. And what I really think that I need to start thinking about is a really important topic in science communication, which is, am I going to be able to make the sacrifices that I want to? Because I've been thinking a lot lately about how the social economic social dynamics of the world kind of work. And the truth is that journalists and scientists are two different people. And scientists are, maybe they want to be popular, but in reality they're in the pursuit of knowledge. And whatever that knowledge be, it ideally will be something that has a very high impact. And journalists, on the other hand, are interested in something that will have a high impact on their target audience, which is ideally anyone which has values or anything like that. And the reason why these two groups butt heads is because what's necessarily good for this evaluation isn't necessarily what's good for this evaluation. The two are very, very conflicting. And if you want to talk about controversial science, I definitely believe the journalist method right now is just not correct, but the scientist method is also not correct. You shouldn't just be worrying about things like if knowledge can be accumulated or shared. And a lot of educational science YouTubers right now, that's what they do. And then they're surprised why they only attract people who are also into science. It's like, well, why can't I attract a different target audience? Well, it's because you're only attracting people who already like science. So the question becomes, as a future hopeful science communicator, I'm going to have to learn or have to make a decision. Either I do what I enjoy and do what I think I enjoy, or I meet people where they are and do something that could potentially target an audience where I think I could have a higher impact in terms of policy decision making and in terms of actually changing people's minds. Because if I target this audience over here, the journalistic view, this group over here already has their minds made up about science. They already can follow other YouTubers. But this group over here has yet to be targeted. And we've seen that with COVID, nanotechnology, CRISPR, AI, climate change, all these controversial sciences that people in this other side really, really care about. So I'm gonna have to make a decision, and I'm leaning towards making this decision and using science not as an educational tool, but instead as a proxy for trust. So meaning, if I'm going to explain to you how the world or how the wind blows, I'm not actually going to teach you how the wind blows, because your knowledge of how the wind blows is irrelevant. You've had ample time to learn how the wind blows, either from a teacher, or you could have learned it just from Googling, or many ways. Like, you don't actually want to learn truly how the wind blows. You want to learn how you think the wind blows based on knowledge that you already have. And that sort of determination will establish trust with my audience by making only a sentence or two of how the wind blows. Like by saying, oh, the wind blows because it's like when the water boils and then the cold air has to fill it in. And then the wind blows and there's a little gust underneath that. That's not really how the wind blows, right? Like, there's much more complex phenomena happening, but that's how people want to think the wind blows. And then it allows them to connect something they already know, which is water boiling, to something that they don't think they know quite yet. And they have this like abstract picture about it. And then I needed to connect it to something in their real life as a real life outcome in order to gain their support. For example, if I connect it to something in their daily life and show them how this is important to care about, like I say, oh, well, the wind blows, and that's why we have wind turbines turning at certain times, which means you should power your car, charge your car at this time, because that means that you'll have a much better chance of producing or getting really cheap electricity. And although scientifically that's not actually correct, I'm connecting this establishment between trust, relevance, and establishing knowledge. And those three things alone or can make me a very strong scientific communicator, compared to this side where I truly dive into like what the science is doing. Like, oh, how does the wind blow? Oh, well, there's a low pressure system and there's this high pressure system. And we have this thing called thermodynamics, and we have the molecules, and those molecules obey certain laws, which in those laws, like, and it gets super complicated over here to truly understand how a system works. But over here, we gain more support. So I have to make a decision, and I'm gonna piss people off one way or the other. And I think I'm gonna make a decision right in the middle. I'm gonna have to pick topics that these people care about and explain it to them in the way I just described. Knowledge to gain trust, relevance to gain action, and that's the only way. That's the only way to do this. And unless of course I could go this route. I could go this route and I'd have success, but with the wrong audience. I need to go this route, and I need to push to people that may truly be interested. So I have to make a decision, and my decision is final, and I think I've made up my mind, and that's how I'm going to do things, because like it's not, I don't think there's a need for me personally. If I feel like this solution can't help pertain to certain policies, then maybe I'll switch to this version, because I think I'd have more fun in this version personally. I think I'd be more happy because I love thinking about science and I love doing science. And if I'm just trying to like make extra cash, then of course I'll switch to this version. Just be like, I'm just trying to amplify my own like personality, amplify my own joy. But like over here is where I can have the highest impact to make a difference, because we are in the middle of a lot of scientific endeavors, and it's going to take a lot of people, not just me, to actually make a difference on this. And we need to be very strategic of how we communicate things. And we cannot just I'm sorry, journalists, but there's a truth to this, and I know for a fact it's true, which is that you have to know the science deeply, and you have to know how the science works at some level in order to communicate it. And I know that as journalists, that's not the truth, and we respect and we love all science journalists, but we need scientists to be in the equation at some level in our society, considering the impact it has on our phones, on our computers, on electricity, on every single thing you use in your entire life. But there are 0 engineers, 0 scientists, 0 biologists. Even though this makes up roughly, I'm going to argue, 30% of the US economy in Congress or in many leadership positions besides, well, large tech, which is actually a very okay, so in that regard, actually corporation-wise, I think scientists are doing fine. But in terms of policy advocacy, they're not doing fine. So we need more of it, and we need to garner this public support around certain ideas that can push certain policies, hopefully bipartisan, right? If you're a Republican out there and you're thinking, I'm a nutball right now, I'm not, because there are solutions which exist in your ideology, specifically nuclear energy, specifically energy independence, specifically cheaper capital gains, like we can spend things much easier, push for innovation, creation of many millions of new jobs. On the Democratic side, there's socialism. There's the push for away from environment. There's a push towards environmental issues. So there's both issues, and we need to hit people where they are. And I'm gonna have to take this route, and I have no other option at this point. So this is day 1 of practicing to talk in front of a camera in order to enunciate my words better in front of the camera. Because right now, I'm definitely struggling. That's Bryce. Peace out, and I'll see ya sometime soon.